2.1 Learning A, this is the progressive movement. So when we talk about progressive movement, the first thing we need to do is talk about what progressive is. Human progress is something that we always seem to be pushing for. It could mean a lot of things, but basically human progress means lives get better. But the word better means a lot of different things based on who you are or what situation you're in. A lot of times what we think of today is ease of life with machines. Sometimes life getting better is if you're happier. Again, happy is a pretty malleable term. Maybe it's living longer. Maybe it's equality between different types of people. Maybe it's freedom from government or other oppressive forces in the world. Maybe it's a widespread improvement of morals. So the question is, has human been a steady increase in human progress? Now, there's a lot of people that would say at first yes, but when things are thought of a little bit more in depth, you might say no. I mean, life is a lot easier. We have better medicine, for example. However, we don't have. We still have some problems that come around with medicine. For example, now there's there's antibiotic resistant diseases. So disease is still prevalent in our society, and new diseases like HIV are coming around and still causing problems. So is life easier? Yes, to a large degree it is, but we still have some problems that we deal with that are created by our new technologies. So there's lots of ideas of how people create progress. We call these the tools of progress. So ways to get life better. Economics, meaning if people were wealthier, if everybody was wealthier, then life would be better. Maybe if our country was more important or more powerful or more influential throughout the world. Maybe if there were totally no nations, man, and everybody, we were just taking care of ourselves, some people might think. A lot of people think that larger government, protecting people would be a great tool to make things better. Some people think that the government is too big and it is the problem, so a smaller government would be the tool to create progress. Some people believe in education as the major tool for human progress, or religion. And of course, a lot of people consider technology and science those tools as well. The list goes on and on and on. For every idea that for progress, there's a tool. Go ahead and jot 3 things down. Pause this. All right, so when we apply this to our time period, this is called the progressive movement. Okay, it's pretty difficult it's pretty difficult to define exact years, but it's approximately 1890s to 1914. There's a lot of different people with lots of different major focuses of things to fix. It's hard to define what a typical progressive is. It's not like this group of people who joined a progressive club and went out to try to change the world. It's basically a social movement where sort of inexplicably there's a whole bunch of people that try to fix a whole bunch of different problems. So it is sort of like a widespread societal movement rather than just a few people. So what were they trying to change? So if you made a list of things that were wrong with the Gilded Age, it would look a lot like the goals of the progressives. Politically, Gilded Age wanted to change things politically. So there was the spoil system, political machines, and lack of voter control. These 3 things really made the political system corrupt, made the political system not work for the people, and made the political system more of a dictatorship than a democracy. Gilded Age had widespread poor living conditions, so the society was struggling. So socially, people tried to change. There was the push for the women's vote, women's suffrage it's called, poor urban living conditions and tenements. African Americans and immigrants were not treated equally, and the widespread poverty, specifically in the cities. Gilded Age businesses were abusing workers and consumers in the progressive view, so the economic reforms were trying to increase workers' rights, end child labor, try to make consumers' rights so they knew what they were eating or buying. So what tools did progressive use? Most of the time, progressives use larger government. Okay, they believe government regulation and involvement would solve the problems. Most of the time, this created a larger, more expensive government, and that means the government sets rules for businesses and states. Okay, federal government hires people, thus the government gets bigger. So when you hear about people saying big government today or small government, typically they're talking about the number of people who are working in the federal government, because the more people that are working, that means the more regulation or rules there are. Also, some form of technologies were used, mostly communication. Muck rakers were a group of people who raked muck, right? And they bring all the muck together. This was not a very nice term created by Teddy Roosevelt, but muck rakers were authors typically or photographers who were trying to get their point across in a shocking way. They did actually create a lot of change as well. Okay, push pause. Oh, sorry. Use investigative reporting to shock the audience. All right, is there a modern progressive movement? I think you could argue that there's always people trying to create progress. It's sort of human nature. If you take a minute to brainstorm some groups like Red Cross or other medical groups maybe that are trying to create a better society through volunteer action or trying to create a better system of government, etc. Okay, the tools that they use are as wide and varied as the goals that they have. Okay, so is it fair to say there's a large effort to improve human life? Yes, and it's not a single movement. A lot of different people pushing for different changes. Go ahead and answer those questions.